The story begins inside the vast and cold hall of the Galactic Council, a place so grand and old that it feels more like a throne room of the universe than a meeting space. And at the center stands Commander Elias Kane, the first human chosen to speak for Earth among strange and powerful alien races who see humans as dangerous and wild. Even though Elias himself stands calm and respectful, wearing only a simple uniform to show that he comes in peace and not in pride. And as he looks around at the many different beings with hard scales, shining eyes, and sharp armor, he understands that fear rules this room more than reason. Because these aliens have watched humanity grow fast, build strong ships, and survive cruel wars. And to them humans seem like a growing fire that might one day burn everything. So when High Speaker Zorath questions Elias with cold words and doubt, asking why they should trust a species that once hurt its own world, Elias answers honestly, speaking about learning from past pain and choosing peace instead of endless conflict. And for a brief moment there is silence, a small chance for understanding to take root, but that fragile moment is shattered when a large Threxian warrior suddenly steps forward and attacks without warning, releasing a violent energy strike that slams into Elias and throws him across the shining floor, turning a calm meeting into shock and horror as the council members freeze in stunned fear, realizing too late that a line has been crossed that cannot be undone. While Elias lies wounded and gasping for breath, feeling the cold floor beneath him and the fading strength in his body, his only comfort being the tiny screen on his wrist that sends a silent distress signal back to Earth. And as his vision blurs, he wonders if his effort to build peace has only caused more pain. Yet even in that moment he does not feel hate, only sadness that trust was broken so quickly. And far away on Earth that signal is received by human leaders and soldiers, who see the image of their fallen envoy and understand that this was not just an attack on one man but an insult to all of humanity, a message of disrespect and fear. And while the council chamber remains still and heavy with regret and confusion, the quiet beginning of a greater storm forms across the stars as human fleets prepare to respond, not in wild rage but with controlled power and deep resolve. Because Elias did not come to threaten or dominate. He came to prove that humans could stand with the galaxy as equals. And now his broken body becomes the spark that will force the entire universe to see what humans truly are when pushed beyond patience and dignity. After the shocking attack on Commander Elias Kane, the news travels fast across Earth and reaches every corner of human space. And instead of loud panic or wild anger, there is a deep, heavy silence that feels more dangerous than any shout, because every leader, soldier, and citizen understands that a peaceful hand was struck in a sacred place meant for words, not violence. And this breaks something old and sacred inside the human spirit as the United Earth Defense Command gathers in the massive orbit station of Geneva Prime, where stars shine through wide glass walls. And Fleet Admiral Rana Iqbal stands before her officers with a face carved from calm strength, knowing that every choice made now will shape the future of humanity among the stars, and she speaks with a steady voice, explaining that this is not a call for reckless war, but a mission to defend honor and protect their people, reminding them that humans rise not as beasts but as guardians when wronged. And so the fleets are summoned from distant systems, hidden bases open, engines roar to life, and ships glide into the black like silver giants answering a silent oath. While on the council world of Virex, the alien leaders watch with growing fear as the human presence fills their sky in perfect formation. Not messy or chaotic, but precise and controlled. Like a line drawn across the universe, and a single human ship moves forward, carrying Captain Mira Sol, who speaks clearly to the council with calm but firm words, asking for the safe return and proper care of the wounded envoy and offering a final chance for peace. Yet pride and old fear guide the alien warriors instead of wisdom, and they choose to raise their weapons rather than lower them, mistaking human restraint for weakness and human kindness for surrender. And as their defenses power up and hostile beams lock onto the human vessels, the moment for calm passes and the first shots cut across space, lighting the dark void like sudden lightning, marking the true beginning of a conflict that could shake entire galaxies. But even as this violent storm starts, the human response remains measured and focused, because every pilot and commander remembers the image of a fallen man who walked unarmed into danger for the sake of peace. And they carry that memory like a silent promise in their hearts, knowing that their duty is not only to fight but to show the universe that humans do not answer cruelty with blind hate, but with strength guided by purpose and discipline. And as the stars reflect off the hulls of their ships and engines hum with raw power, humanity prepares to face the unknown not as frightened children but as a united force, driven by loyalty, respect, and an unbreakable will to prove that their kind deserves a place among the stars, even if they must carve that place through fire, courage, and sacrifice. Chaos rises as battle explodes across the dark stretch of space, where bright beams clash and crystal shields flare under heavy fire, turning quiet stars into witnesses of fierce struggle. As Captain Mira Sol guides her small corvette with sharp focus and steady breath, eyes locked on glowing screens that show enemy ships charging like wild beasts. Yet every move she makes holds calm purpose, every turn guided by careful thought rather than blind rage. As human pilots work together like parts of one living mind, dodging deadly blasts with smooth grace while pulse drones swirl outward like silver birds and strike enemy hulls with perfect timing, sending shock through massive alien warcraft that expected easy victory but now feel strong resistance, while Mira sends clear calls over open channels, offering surrender and mercy to foes who continue firing with stubborn pride, showing fear hiding beneath thick armor. And as fire spreads across the empty void, a hidden medical shuttle slips through smoke and shattered light, racing toward the council tower where wounded Elias Kane lies weak and fading, guarded by nervous officials who never imagined such swift human arrival. And armored Marines step forward with gentle hands and firm strength, lifting the fallen envoy as though he carries the weight of an entire world, while his tired eyes open for a short moment, filled with concern rather than hate, speaking soft words that reveal his heart still hopes for peace even as war rages around him. And outside that fragile rescue, Mira continues guiding her crew through storm after storm of hostile attack, feeling tension stretch across every second as enemy fire rains without end. Yet her voice stays clear, her command steady, her spirit unbroken, knowing that every choice shapes fate for both sides, and watching aliens begin to question their own fear as human chips form, protective barriers around the very planet that tried to destroy them, offering safety where revenge could have ruled, showing a strange honor none expected. And through flashing lights and echoes of distant blasts, the gap between terror and respect slowly grows smaller as silent realization spreads across terrified foreign minds, that these warriors of Earth fight not for cruelty, but for defense and dignity. And as the rescue craft carries Elias back toward waiting fleet safety, the battle surges again with renewed fury, yet amid all destruction there remains a strange sense of order, a clear design guiding every human move, proving that even under greatest pressure, humanity stands firm, disciplined, and united, revealing a strength that does not rise from hate but from loyalty, courage, and deep belief that dignity must be protected, even when sky itself burns and peace feels farther than ever. As the battle grows more intense, a new and terrifying threat enters the scene in the form of the Threxian High Warlord, who commands a massive warship larger than many cities and filled with dark power. and this ship moves forward like a shadow of death, firing devastating blasts that tear through smaller vessels and scatter burning debris across space, causing fear and shock even among the strongest human forces, while alarms echo across every bridge and the pain of loss spreads as some ships fall silent forever. Yet Admiral Rana Iqbal refuses to let despair take control and instead gives clear orders to focus all strength on stopping this deadly force while protecting innocent lives below. And in the middle of this storm, Captain Mirasol realizes that normal attacks will not work against such heavy shields and powerful armor, so she makes a bold and dangerous choice to fly straight toward the enemy giant, guiding her ship into a narrow opening in its defenses and crashing into one of its hangar bays, where her team of brave soldiers rushes out into thick smoke and burning metal, running through dark corridors filled with echoes of alien roars and flashing gunfire, and every step they take feels heavy with risk yet driven by strong purpose, knowing that if they fail, countless lives will be lost. And as Mira leads them deeper into the core of the ship, she finally comes face to face with the warlord, a towering and fearsome creature who mocks her size and dares her to surrender. But instead of fear, Mira stands firm and tells him that humans do not give up, showing strength not only through weapons but through courage and resolve. And their clash shakes the walls as energy bursts and sharp blows fill the chamber. While outside, the human fleet struggles to hold the line against the enemy storm, watching anxiously for any sign that Mira's mission is working. And when scanners show a small weakness forming within the enemy shields, hope begins to rise, proving that even the strongest enemy has a breaking point when faced with determination and unity. And throughout this struggle, there is a deep message forming that this is not just a battle of guns and ships, but of spirit and belief, showing how humanity stands even when pushed to the edge, refusing to bow before terror and choosing to face it head on. And though danger surrounds them and the cost grows heavy, every action taken by the human forces reflects the same clear truth that they fight not for conquest but for survival, honor, and the right to exist with dignity. And within the burning core of the warship, as Mira continues her fierce struggle with the warlord, the entire galaxy holds its breath as the moment approaches that will decide whether fear or courage will rule the stars. The struggle reaches its most powerful moment as Captain Mirasol faces the Threxian warlord, inside the burning heart of the enemy ship, where heat curls through the air and broken metal groans under the force of their clash. And every strike between them carries not only physical weight, but the meaning of two worlds fighting for control. And though the warlord is larger and stronger, Mira refuses to fall, even when pain spreads through her body and her breath grows heavy, because she knows that behind her stand countless lives depending on her strength. And around her, the rest of her team moves with steady focus, guarding each other and pressing forward with calm courage, showing the discipline of soldiers who have trained not just to survive but to protect. While outside the warship, the human fleet watches carefully as the enemy vessel begins to weaken, its once solid shields flickering and its powerful weapons slowing. And when Admiral Iqbal gives the order to strike with full force, a focused beam of energy tears through the damaged core, sending shock waves through the massive structure and lighting the dark sky. And inside the chamber, flames rise and the warlord's roar fills the halls with rage and disbelief as his power fades. Yet Mira stands once more wounded but unbroken, lifting her weapon with firm hands and ending the threat with a final determined blow, proving that raw strength means nothing when facing the unyielding will of a people who refuse to surrender. And as warning alarms echo through the collapsing ship, she turns and guides her team back through smoke and falling debris. Each step a narrow escape, each breath a victory earned through pain. And when she finally sends the signal that the enemy leader has fallen, the human fleet responds not with wild cheers, but with quiet respect, understanding the cost of what has just been achieved. And instead of chasing the scattered enemy forces, they pull back in perfect order, weapons silent, giving space to those who flee, revealing once again that their goal was never cruelty but justice. And on the council world below, fear slowly changes into deep understanding as alien leaders realize that humans could have erased them completely but chose restraint, chose mercy, and chose honor. And this moment leaves a lasting mark across every watching eye. Because the universe sees something rare and powerful, a species that fights with fire yet holds control, that answers violence without becoming monsters. And as Mira's damaged ship drifts back toward the fleet with emergency lights glowing softly around its hull, her tired smile reflects the truth that even when everything seems lost, human spirit rises higher, driven not by hate but by loyalty, courage, and the deep need to protect what matters, showing that victory is not only measured by fallen enemies, but by the strength to choose mercy when power could destroy. And through this fierce and emotional struggle, the message spreads across the stars that humanity does not bend easily. And when pushed to the edge, they stand like unmovable stone against the storm. The final stage shows calm rising after great storm as Elias Kane wakes with slow breath under soft light and gentle care, his body weak yet spirit strong. And beside him stands Captain Mira Soul, wounded yet proud, her eyes carrying both pain and quiet joy as she speaks with warmth about survival and strength. While outside this safe room, a changed galaxy watches human actions with fresh thought. Since what began as cruel strike ends as lesson carved across endless stars, and the great council that once ruled through fear now sends words filled with regret and respect, admitting fault and seeking peace through honest tone rather than sharp command. And these words reach Elias as he gathers strength and rises once more to face those who doubted his kind, showing scars as proof not just of pain but courage. And when he speaks again, his voice holds no hate, only steady truth as he reminds every listener that humans feel deeply and fight hard, yet choose restraint when mercy feels earned. And this message travels far and wide, touching worlds that once whispered lies about human rage, changing old stories about monsters toward new tales about balance and honor. And through this ending, a deep echo spreads across space, showing how power guided by control carries more weight than wild fury, and how sacrifice shaped a better path for peaceful future. And as fleets return home through quiet starlit routes, a sense of respect follows every ship, every crew, and every voice. While Elias looks toward wide sky with calm heart, knowing his pain created chance for deeper understanding, and Mira stands nearby, a symbol of brave will that refused to fall even when all seemed lost. And through their shared strength, humanity gains new place among distant worlds, not through threat or fear, but through courage, dignity, and clear purpose. And even though loss touched many lives, hope rises strong, proving that true victory grows from unity, trust, and steady resolve. And as the final echoes of battle fade, the universe learns a simple truth that when humans rise, they do so with honor, and when peace stands ready, they accept it with open heart.